What is up, everybody? Solomon here. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. As you guys know, within Genfinity and our Hedera Corner, in collaboration with HashPack, we are doing just tons and tons and tons of Hedera Hashgraph ecosystem and network interviews. And today, definitely one that I'm excited for, have Marcel, who is the co-founder and CEO of HashGuild, building out an amazing tool set marketplace for the Hedera community. So how are you doing today, Marcel?
Thanks for the invitation, and always a pleasure to talk to you. And also, speaking to the community and sharing our visions.
Yeah, so I mean, to give a little bit of an overview of HashGuild, I mean, can you talk kind of in general, like a summary about what HashGuild represents within the ecosystem, from a marketplace or staking or launchpad, or just kind of run the gamut for us so that the audience and community can learn a little bit?
Sure. So actually, our core vision, if we have to be more specific about, is basically that HashGuild shall be the main NFT infrastructure provider on Hedera. We want to build a platform that actually aligns all relevant tools and services for both creators and collectors throughout their user journey, as we call it more in like business terms. What that includes, obviously, a trading hub, so our marketplace is live, but we actually went, I think, since 1 month already past this marketplace only procedure. So we are currently delivering a launchpad plus a staking solution, and I'm not sure if probably some people will be aware, but we also actually deployed our smart contract for our permissionless minting tool. So we're also providing literally from NFT creation till the distribution of the utility of NFTs to the respective customer group, either creator and collector. And for us, it's like really important to have like this kind of one platform where you can literally find everything, because we know about this typical onboarding of new people into the ecosystem, web 2 to web 3, and where to start, where to stop, where to go ahead. And for us, it's just important to deliver a platform that really like sums everything up, and you find what you need on the platform.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, I think what we've seen within Hedera, even over the past year, not even past year, the past year has been amazing. The past 6 months has been amazing. The past 3 months has been amazing. I love the initiatives about not having kind of a piecemealed ecosystem and really trying to provide as many services and use cases for your audience, for user engagement and that user experience as possible. You talked about the launchpad and the staking aspects. How many projects, I mean, ballpark, have you guys had on the launchpad? I think I was on the site beforehand. From the staking aspect, it looks like you had 3 or 4 on there right now. Maybe go through who you've had on there yet, how many projects, and what that looks like so far.
So on the launchpad and our alpha, and combined with the actual beta version, I think in total we had right now 10 NFT projects minting with us through the launchpad, including, for example, OGX, HBoard Pandas, Wars and Wizards, Second Drop, Plum. So also really good art in there as well. So really appreciate that sense as well. Not only those big collection drops, but also having some unique art pieces in there. But that's just a personal note. And regarding the staking, we actually put it live, I think 4 weeks ago. And obviously we started with our own NFT project, being like the alpha user, and also the testing group worked out perfectly. We onboarded directly Wars and Wizards. We also have the HBoard Pandas and kind of like close lineup, as well as I think the Wooks announcement also went already out. So they are next in line. Yeah, this is just the starting point.
100%. Can you give a little bit of a background? I mean, you mentioned Web 2 to Web 3. I mean, I guess from your standpoint, why did you start building in Web3? How long have you been in Web3? And then I always have to ask, I shouldn't have to ask, but I always have to ask, why Hedera? Why'd you choose to build on Hedera?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a nice story. So actually, my co-founder and I, we started building, this typical startup environment, or in the startup environment, um, a development agency, also like a gaming startup back then in Web2. And personally entered the overall Web3 space through NFTs on Ethereum. Made some trades over there. Yeah, not like the typical pump and dump. Also, like not getting completely clean over there as well. So it's you either gain money or you lose money. The spaces aren't that kind of different. So yeah, and we were over there, and we actually sat together, and beside having our agency, we both like kind of aligned to let's kind of hop on the train, but not just launching like an NFT project, but we also wanted to bring some kind of utility towards that. And we'd first, made a typical NFT project creation, the art, the story itself. And then we decided, this whole Web3 space is about giving control to users, to holders, to, the typical stakeholders. And, what better way to do it with actually a DAO voting on where the typical, interested people on minting your collection want to have your collection minted. And from there, out of nowhere, suddenly Hedera people, kind of conquered the voting and brought us over to Hedera. Back then, that was maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks before the drop, or the initially planned drop. We're like, oh, well, great. We don't know too much about the network yet. So, let's deep dive into what's happening over there. What's the current status in terms of, infrastructure, but also in terms of, the deeper connection to how, transaction fees, the overall vision of the channel network, and, the general potential of the network. And we actually fell in love with it. Also coming from Ethereum network over to Hedera community, like really the OG community, everybody's super friendly. I mean, it's still the same, and it was super exciting for us. And we said like, yeah, that was actually a perfect decision to take. Happy to enter this ecosystem. And then we figured out, oh, okay, we launched our NFT project, and we were like, okay, marketplace. Wait, how does it work over here? And people back then were trading throughout Discord channels, and we are like, okay,
Yep.
this is not too exciting. So let's directly deep dive into building up a marketplace, and like all this infrastructure we made use of on Ethereum back then. And literally everything was existing on Ethereum, even actually 1 year ago, with launch pads, with minting tools, with marketplaces, with analytics tools, like everything was there, right? And we actually said perfect timing. Like we came from the kind of builder perspective. We always look for opportunities to kind of create value, and this was this kind of lights on, and let's move forward.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think a lot of people, especially like looking at Ethereum, they that network essentially having a 7-year head start as far as user engagement and user experience. But it's been really exciting to see how fast-tracked the Hedera ecosystem, has become over the past year. I mean, like you were saying, it's night and day over the past year. And talking about, the different marketplaces that exist on Hedera, obviously, all boats rowing together to drive the network forward, providing more liquidity for these NFT projects, more liquidity for projects in general. What really differentiates, and I think you touched on it at the very beginning, but what differentiates HashGuild in relation to these other marketplaces right now from what you're seeing?
I think we have to cut this question in kind of different setups. So first point, as I already mentioned it, we're not just a marketplace provider. We want to be like this kind of go-to platform where you find the tools you are in need for. for creators as well as for collectors, right? That's the first part. I think that's a huge differentiator, especially when we're talking about our close connection to the projects we have onboarded. It's super helpful and super interesting to talk to them, to their needs. Like, you use the launchpad, your collection is live. So what's next? You talked about utility, how you're providing utility, and we have that in place. It's like an easy procedure for creators and that momentum, because staking launchpad is at the beginning, it's a creator tool, but also for the collectors, because they see something is happening with the project. Like, they're not just talking, they're executing, and we just help them execute their goals. This is the first part. Second part is, I think, what is still a little bit unknown is that we really believe in the decentralized and this complete automated ways. So, for example, we are not gating access to creators, to collections. We handle it like OpenSea, LooksRare, all the other marketplaces out there. You create a collection, you have an NFT in your wallet. If the collection is not registered in our marketplace at this moment, it gets through, fetching the NFT, fetching the collection, it gets displayed, not listed, it gets displayed on the marketplace, and everybody can see, like, how many NFTs are kind of registered under the collection and all those data points. So we're really closely working with the data we get from the network. And I think that's a super important point. And adding to this, I think what really differentiates us, it's, we started without a marketplace, right? We now have, I think, 3 major marketplaces out there. Of course, with Zeus being the front runner. But, trading, like buying NFTs, is one part. And what we realized is, looking at, for example, the offering or the bidding functionalities, our network still is far away from the opportunities other collectors receive on other networks. And this is, for example, why we also right now released the functionality or the feature that you actually can bid or make an offer on any NFT that has been registered on our marketplace. So what that means is, currently, I actually checked the numbers a few minutes ago, because I wanted to give an correct outlook on what's possible and what isn't. There are 300,000 Hedera NFTs registered on HashGuild. That means holders that have signed in with HashGuild own in total 300,000 NFTs. And actually, everybody can make an offer or make a bid on any of those 300,000 NFTs. And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of the game. Because if you look into, I don't know, the Angry Barboons, it's not just about, you see the listed NFTs, their floor price, and you can maybe bid on those who are listed, but you can literally bid on, I think right now it's 70% of their whole collection.
That's really cool.
And that's nice. I think that's the beauty of the game. We like to use all the data the network gives us. I think that's a really important point, especially, decentralization, transparency. We have the transparency. Why don't we use it, right? So I think that's what one major point when you really talk about the marketplace. And of course, everybody with an NFT collection can just log in with their wallet and don't need to have any approval from our side. Holders can list it, can buy it, can sell it. Everything is possible. Of course, we also have a verification system, but that's on top. And those added services are currently 80% automated. So at the end of the day, it really needs, from our side, just a short check and a few clicks. to get this verifying button, or create this launchpad design for an upcoming mint. Like a lot of automations currently happening, and there will also be some cool updates coming. Especially I think at the beginning of January, I'm planning something over there, which makes it even more seamless, flawless, however you want to call it. And yeah, I think that's also kind of the vision of HashGuild,
I think that that's amazing to put the power, as many options and as many choices in the hands of the users. Like, I love the fact that, because if you start accumulating, I mean, for me, I'm a little bit of a Hedera NFT degen over the past couple of years. Like, I haven't, like, I still say this today, like, I haven't sold any Hedera NFTs yet. And that's on me, that's my decision. But, to be a registered user, to be a user on HashGuild, and to, have offers on NFTs that because it's overwhelming sometimes to be like, I want to list this and I want to list this at floor, I want to do X, Y, and Z, but to like literally be able to receive offers, I think that's absolutely fantastic. And you see that through like things like OpenSea and other things right now. So I haven't seen that yet on Hedera. So that's awesome that the HashGuild platform is facilitating that. You talked a little bit about volume as well, and I would love to hear kind of your thoughts around. You look at the Ethereum, the Solana networks, and the NFTs and the marketplaces, and volumes being near all-time lows, like 90% down in this bear market. And you look at Hedera. Maybe you could tell the audience a little bit what we've experienced on Hedera for the past 5-6 months, constant milestones being hit, volumes and everything else. So,
I mean, I'm maybe starting off like that. Like, we also went into a fundraising round a few months ago, having onboarded Outlier Ventures, one of our investors, for example. So. And also back then, like the typical pitch, how powerful can be the NFT market on Hedera. And I remember back then in Q1, I think it was late Q1, a kind of analytics, or in kind of a report about the Hedera NFT ecosystem and its growth factor or potential. And I remember this statistic pretty clear. That was about, in 2022, we kind of expect like a year-to-year growth rate of 2,500% of, NFTs being traded. I was like, it's a significant number. And I think two major impacts play into this whole ecosystem gamble, the versus type of thing, like Ethereum versus Solana, Solana versus Hedera, and so on and so forth. First thing, the general potential of a network in terms of the mass adoption and the general usage, right? When we talk about mass adoption, I definitely believe that the enterprise focus is a super important and crucial part of it. But I also do have to say, we don't have to expect that everybody needs to be onboarded to Web3 tools, right? It also sometimes is sufficient enough to use the technology in a Web2 solution, just having it in the background. I think we sometimes really forget about this as, we're talking about the technology. Technology has to be used. We don't want to create like another world, like, it's also fine enough to use the Hedera network or Hashgraph itself to improve Web2 dynamics. So I think this is a crucial part, having this coverage on the sustainability of a network. I think it's also super healthy for our own ecosystem that we don't rely too much on FOMO, as we've seen it on, other networks. I think it's something really, really healthy for our own sake, but also for, the longevity of all projects building in the ecosystem. And I think right now also the bear market in general, with this whole FTX stuff, don't want to go too much deep into it. I think everybody talked about it. But it clearly highlights certain pitfalls on existing ecosystems, how they're connected, how healthy also their token distribution to their shareholders is, and so on and so forth. And I think it's right now a great timing for us who haven't too much relied on the typical FOMO play, to be like one of the better offs in the long run or after this bear market. So yeah, pretty excited about the future. Also pretty excited about how the actual trading volume in total, right? In perspective will look like. So I think I've seen statistics, I think 2 days ago, something like that, like $13,000 trading volume per day on Hedera, and in comparison 1 million or 1.5 on Ethereum. So there's still a clear difference in it, but I think we have so much time, so much potential. I think right now it's the time to listen to the users, to listen to the community, and build for them and by example.
Yeah, I love what you stated about Web 2 to Web 3, because there's hundreds of billions of dollars that have been invested into Web 2 infrastructure. And you hear a lot of projects saying that or networks or platforms, saying that we're going to immediately go to Web 3 for X, Y, and Z. And it's like, well, there's probably a middle ground, especially for mass adoption. You utilize the tool sets that have already been built out for Web 2 and then inject value from Web 3 where it makes sense for the user, right? And you talked a little bit about partnerships and collaborations, or at least early investors. I know you said Outlier Ventures, I believe also a recipient from the foundation. Are there any other interesting partnerships, collaborations that you guys may have down the pike? And then maybe if you could pivot a little bit, because I looked into, it looks like you guys are going to have a token launch, if I'm not mistaken. And is that going to be early next year? Can you talk a little bit about that? Maybe drop us some alpha around that.
Yeah. All right. So at first, yes. I mean, yeah, already mentioned that Outlier Ventures, HashPack Foundation, Filecoin. We have them kind of bundled. Also aligning with them, talking on a monthly basis to them in terms of further partnership building. We also, for example, are in connection with 2 council members, and let's see how collaborations can further be built. Like at the end of the day, if somebody wants to make use of NFT infrastructure, and we perhaps are infrastructure provider, there might be a smart way to align or combine, the interest fields, fasten up things, and
Yeah, when what you really look at too is, I think a lot of the times you see like, okay, that there's NFTs listed on a marketplace, or there's a platform that has NFTs right now, but what a lot of people don't look at is like what that really is wallet connectivity and measuring data. So there's all sorts of different things you could do with measuring data across even enterprises.
And you also have to realize that even when we're talking about NFTs, right, we are still in a kind of early stage environment. Because I'm not the technical person in our team, to be honest, but I also know that, or I perhaps think, correct me if I'm wrong, that we haven't yet have the opportunity, for example, to make use of dynamic NFTs, or at least dynamic NFTs in the way that where the data from from dynamic NFTs, you have a certain connectivity to a database that gets activated, deactivated, or updated throughout a certain time, when certain actions have been made. But what about this database, right? Is it centralized? Is it decentralized? I think there's like a pitfall over there. Let's see where everything goes. And I think also in terms of NFTs, it's a super broad topic, right? It's not just about like art and collectibles. Like you can literally individualize everything. And it's just like, what are we really in need of, right? What makes a payoff or makes us better off when we utilize NFTs, or at least the technology behind it? And I think that's the core interest. Corporations, enterprises, specifically more focus on it, because just hopping on the trend is not significant enough to really make an impact, but also pitch this kind of change to the advisory board and the investors. So it really needs to be pay off in a certain way, right? So I think there's still a lot of opportunities in there. I know that the Swirl Labs is also highly focused on improving the overall infrastructure. We're also in discussion with them about typical smart contract, as we've also not seen too much of them, and we really want to go into this completely decentralized way, because we've seen what doesn't work out, and it's decentralized, even though it's in a package of Web3. There's still a lot we have to build up. There's still a lot we have to think about in terms of execution and right execution. And maybe talking shortly about the token. Yes, it was in the plan, but coming from an economical perspective, launching a token in a bear market is not that well of an idea. Talked to a lot of investors. We set up a whole token distribution design model with them. Also discussed the possibility of what happens, if it kind of aligns to be a market, and we kind of agreed that it's right now time to build. But of course, also in combination with our users, launching a token doesn't mean that you value your stakeholders, or you bring them into this typical DAO design structure. This is what we try to establish from time to time, even without the token. And I think there are plenty of opportunities also without the token to incentivize new joiners to the ecosystem to benefit from the infrastructure we are providing. And if it's time to recover from this whole bear market situation, then I think it also makes sense again to talk about the token launch. But I think there are right now more important parts and more important more priorities to make. And
No, I appreciate the answer. I mean, totally. As far as, in closing, where would you like to drive people to? Is it the Twitter? Is it the actual HashGuild platform? I did see that you guys actually have feedback rewards going on is that still going on as far as, testing?
Yeah, absolutely. Will be an ongoing campaign. And we are also, like you're doing the interview right now with us, we are doing an interview with our users, also with non-users who are in the Hedera space, to kind of figure out, what we have to improve, what is the need of the users from collectors and creator side, and handing out a little reward for, handing over the information. So yeah, as I said, building really user-centric. I think that's a really important one.
Yeah, 100%. So
and
go ahead.
And for reaching out, I think the easiest, smoothest way is through Twitter at hashguild, or via our website itself, hashguild.xyz. And we are also right now building up a full guide, or a blog site, where we literally also kind of informationally onboard users to really realize how, for example, the offering works, how the launchpad works, how staking works. So really putting it into works, into some nice kind of onboarding research hub. I'm looking forward to it, to launch it. We'll of course announce it on Twitter at HashGuild. And you can also check out our Discord. Everything is linked with Twitter. And happy to chat. Also happy to answer further questions. As always, we're pretty responsive also when it comes to bugs, errors, ticketing. We have automated ticketing system in our Discord, implementing the same on our website soon. So more than happy to assist on any kind of sense.
Oh no, that's awesome, Marcel. I really appreciate it. So we're definitely going to have this up through through Genfinity and the Hedera Corner that we facilitate. I know HashPack is going to have this in their community section as well. The goal for us is, you know, just like you guys stated, you're going to educate your users. We're trying to educate the community as much as possible on all the ecosystem initiatives that are going on right now. Certainly look forward to having another discussion with you in the near future, because it's going to be awesome to see where the HashGuild platform is at, even a month, 2 months, 3 months down the road. So I appreciate you taking time out today. I know how insanely busy you probably are, and look forward to having another discussion in the future, Marcel. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure. See you soon.